Choking on the golf course is something that every golfer, even the greatest golfers, do at one time or another. Sometimes the pressure just piles up and mentally, you just start questioning every single move you make on the course. Then once that happens, you can't execute the shots you want to hit or start making poor decisions that you typically would never make. Sure, it's entertaining for us as a viewer to watch, but my God, is it ever heartbreaking to see happen. Keeping all that in mind, here are the top 6 worst tournament collapses in golf history. Phil Mickelson, 2006 US Open. Mickelson started off his career 0 for 46 in majors, then changed his approach. He dialed back the aggression and started making much better course management decisions, and it totally paid off. He entered the 2006 US Open going for his 4th career major and 3rd in a row. Could you believe he almost got it? But then he reverted to his previous form. His driver deserted him on that final round, yet he decided to keep hitting it. And to make matters worse, his decision-making deserted him on the final hole. Mickelson had a 1-stroke lead as he stood on the 18th tee. Despite only hitting 2 fairways on the day, he pulled out the driver yet again. And of course, he missed as the drive hit the roof of the hospitality tent and landed into the spectator area. Luckily, Mickelson had a decent lie, but rather than advancing the ball a short distance and getting back on the fairway where he could make par, or at worst he would bogey to get himself into a playoff in which he would be the heavy favorite. But instead of playing it safe, Mickelson attempted a huge slice under and around tree branches. It did not work. The ball hit the branch and stopped 25 yards in front of him. He hit another big slice, but this one plugged into the back of a bunker, and not even Mickelson's short game could save him here. He ended up double bogeying and finished 1 shot out of a playoff. Adam Scott, the British Open 2012. Scott had always been one of those golfers with a sweet swing, consistently good results, and the mystery of why he hadn't yet won a major. He appeared poised to finally get that major in the 2012 British Open, which he opened by shooting a 64 in the first round. Scott began the final round with a 4-stroke lead and appeared in control throughout the round's entirety. As he stood on the 15th tee, Scott held a 4-stroke lead and was 5 ahead of Ernie Els. Just after Scott hit a perfect drive on 15, Els, a couple groups ahead, made a birdie on the 16th to get within 4. And that is when it all went south for Scott. He bogeyed the last 4 holes, while Ernie Els rallied, including a birdie on the last to beat Scott by 1. Now, Scott didn't blow up on any of the last 4 holes, he just made simple mistakes on each one of them. At the 15th, his approach shot found the bunker. On the 16th, he missed a 3-foot par putt. On the 17th, his approach was long and found the deep rough behind the green. And on the 18th, his tee shot rolled into the bunker. Keeping it very close, Scott played out the bunker sideways, then hit a great approach shot, but he then missed the 7-foot par putt that would have forced a playoff. Lorena Ochoa, 2005 US Women's Open. Ochoa hit one of the worst drives ever at a critical time in a major tournament. It happened on the 18th hole in the 2005 US Women's Open. She had rallied throughout the day from well back and was in a position to win or at least get into a playoff. The 18th hole at Cherry Hills required the players to aim right, cutting off part of the lake and carrying the ball to the fairway. However, Ochoa's drive did not stand a chance. Her driver hit the ground a couple of inches before the ball, taking out a big divot, then bounced up into the ball. The ball shot out left and dove right into the water. To make matters worse, Ochoa's second drive found the rough, and then her approach to the green went right into the grandstands. She ended up quadruple bogeying that last hole and finished 4 shots back of the leader. Dustin Johnson, the 2015 US Open. There was no one up against Dustin Johnson when he walked up to the 18th green on that Sunday, just himself, his putter, and just the potential of making several mistakes. After hitting 2 brilliant shots on the par 5, Dustin Johnson was left with a 12-foot eagle putt to win. But instead of hitting that putt, he pushed it a little too far and missed the eagle opportunity. Now to putt for birdie and force a playoff, you could tell that the tension was definitely getting to him. Now I hate to say it, but standing over his birdie putt, you just had a feeling that things were gonna go south. And of course, it did. Let's see how it played out. Jordan Spieth, the 2016 Masters. The 2016 Masters will always be remembered more for who didn't win. Jordan Spieth, on his way to a consecutive Masters title, blew a huge back nine lead, stunning the sports world and leaving many people disappointed. Spieth held a 5-shot lead heading into the back nine with a repeat championship well in sight, only to suffer a crushing blow when he fell apart and lost to Danny Willett. Even though it was still a tremendous week and still was a really good year in 2016, that kind of haunted me, Spieth told reporters years after this collapse. He went on to say, "I let it tear me down a little bit. I kind of lost a little bit of my own freedom, thoughts on who I am as a person and as a golfer." Spieth began his crash with bogeys on the 10th and 11th hole before his infamous quadruple bogey on a par 3, which was the 12th hole. He went on to shoot 1 under over the final 6 holes, but had done enough damage as Willett came back to win by 3 strokes. Now, he was just 22 years old at the time, but Spieth describes it as the lowest point of his career. Danny Willett walked away with the green jacket that Sunday, but it was the man who placed the jacket on him who stole the show. Jean Van de Velde, the 1999 Open Championship. Leading by 3 strokes standing on the 18th tee, Van de Velde needed just a double bogey 6 to claim the title and become the first player from France to win the Open since 1907. While he could have recovered, hitting a driver off the tee was his first mistake. Needing only a 6, Van de Velde could have played safely into the fairway with an iron with no need of going for the green in 2. Instead, he pulled out the driver and hit a wayward shot that was fortunate enough to find land as it barely cleared the water. So, hitting his second shot, Van de Velde for some reason hit a 2-iron in an attempt to go for the green, rather than just laying up and staying on the fairway. He blasted the shot to the right where it sailed towards the grandstands. While this was a poor decision, the result was terribly unlucky. Had it flown into the stands, he actually could have received a free drop and been within the range to pitch on the green. But the ball hit one of the railings on the grandstand, and it ended up bouncing all the way back into some thick rough. Instead of finding the green and giving Van de Velde 3 putts for the win, the thick rough got into the way. The ball came up well short, landing into the water that fronts the green. Now, with his ball barely submerged in the water, it got Van de Velde thinking that he could actually play this shot. So he took off his shoes, his socks, rolled up his pants, and gave it a look. Giving his situation more thought, he decided to take a drop. Even after all that had transpired up until this point, it's crazy to say, but Van de Velde still had the opportunity to get up and down for 6 and win the tournament. At worst, he could get on the green and 2-putt for a playoff. But again, the rough was an issue and the 5th shot came up short, landing in a greenside bunker. From the bunker, he got up and down for a triple bogey, earning a spot in a playoff, which he eventually lost to Paul Lowry. Thanks for watching our video. If you haven't yet, drop us a like, leave us a comment, and if you're looking for more golf content, don't forget to subscribe.